I've covered what's coming in Phase 4 pretty extensively, I'd say, but there are some minor changes or even little things that come from some of the bigger changes that you might not be aware of that we should talk about today. To explain what I mean a little bit better, let's just talk about the first one. I've told you all about the Gamma dungeons in this video here and how they'll work, and we've looked at the rewards. So if you aren't aware already, you're going to be able to get 252 trinkets, necks, capes, those sort of things from the all-to-war hard modes from the new vendor for doing Gamma dungeons. This will include things like Flare, Comet's Trail, and even Conductive Seal. But there is one thing that I didn't mention, and that's how you can obtain Sidereal Essence now. Even though there's going to be this Scourgestone vendor where all the items are quite pricey, rightly so, on the basis you can get one Scourgestone per boss in the new Gamma dungeons, but if you're currently farming beta dungeons for stuff from the Sidereal Essence vendor, you might want to hold off for now. There's no doubt that some of the items that come from Sidereal Essence, even though it's only 239 eye level, are going to be heavily sought after still, even in Phase 4, Mjolnir Runestone being a prime example. Now, to get any of these items at the moment, you need to complete a beta dungeon. The only place you get one of the Sidereal Essences is from the last boss. Well, in Phase 4, when Kalara Dream Smasher is added to the game, on the Defiler's Scourgestone vendor, you'll be able to get Sidereal Essence at a rate of 1-to-1. So rather than just getting one from each end boss, you're going to be able to get one from every boss and just trade the Scourgestones down to Sidereal Essences. So even though you probably want the gear now, you could save a hell of a lot of time and maybe work on another ult or getting some achievements or something like that until Phase 4 actually hits. And remember, ICC is not going to be open when Phase 4 hits. Depending on whether you're NA or EU, you're going to have a day or two to smash at as many Gamma dungeons and get all your daily heroic and all of that stuff done, which we're going to talk about soon. Get all that done before ICC launches and get this gear pretty fast. What I really would have liked to have seen is Blizzard use their noddle a little bit here, and when they added the Scourgestone vendor to the PTR, they should have added Sidereal to all bosses in live, because it really has killed my enthusiasm personally to farm betas for gear when I know it's going to be much faster in a couple of weeks. I'm fairly sure I'm not alone there, and also Blizzard really did miss a trick by not adding RDF early as well. Being able to have had a lot of fun with RDF before ICC takes up a lot of our time would have been a good thing. I mean, I did even try doing my bit and tweeting the devs, but Agrand shot me down. Cheers, mate. You may have heard or even seen me raging about the feral nerf of 5% that was briefly added to the glyph of Omen of Clarity. Well, no more. I didn't really know where to talk about this, and I didn't want to put a video out on its own, so I thought just mentioning it and then overall minor changes to Phase 4 would have been the right place. But Blizzard went back on that and reverted it, so ferals, you can relax. There is no 5% damage nerf, but on the basis it's been on their radar for a very long time, do I genuinely think we're going to get all the way through ICC without being touched again? I highly doubt it. The looking for more achievement was actually removed from the game, but on the latest PTR it's now been added back in because of course it's going to be able to be completed now because the Dungeon Finder tool's being added. It was kind of obvious that this was going to make a return, but at least now we know for sure. To get it, you need to complete Looking for Multitudes. That's to group with 100 random players using random Dungeon Finder. At grouping with 50 random people, you're going to get a title as well if you was interested, and the title is The Patient. That's definitely a title my Warlock will never be able to use because my Warlock's name is Dr. Fingers. Awkward. Historically, if people left the group and you found new people, they would count towards the achievement. So in a single Oculus, you could go through quite a few, because most people used to leave instantly when Oculus popped up. Whether it's like that in Classic or not, I can't tell you just yet, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. I do think, though, we won't see as many people leaving Oculus with the bonus rewards that Blizzard have put in. This next one might seem a bit obvious, but it's a question I've been getting a lot, and also something I've even wanted to confirm for myself since starting my new Feral Druid on Mankrik. When the account-wide mounts hit, not only do you get 310% speed on your ults if you've obtained a 310% speed mount like Mim's Head or even one of the Drakes from the Glory of the Ulduar Raider achievement, but if you have a mount like Mim's Head, for example, or even one of the Brewfest mounts, you will get that achievement on every ult you log in on as well. So if you are wanting achievements on a specific character but you never happen to get the mount on that character, then you're in luck. I was less bothered about the feat of strengths and more bothered about my flight form being 310% speed though, so I'm sure that's something that will make a lot of you happy if you've got a feral ult. Another one is profession cooldowns and how Titan Steel and the tailoring cloths now no longer have their daily cooldown. This is definitely going to drive down some prices further on crafted Ulduar and even TOGC gear, It's already pretty cheap, I'd say, on most servers, but come Phase 4, these are going to be amazing ways of catching your ults up on gear when you're freshly dinged. In terms of just the cloth only, there is another little side benefit to the masses from the cloth cooldown being removed. Glacial bags. Currently, they're always pretty expensive, and the main reason for it is it needs 4 of each of 2 of the cloths, so multiple daily cooldowns for a single bag. I'd expect these bags to dip quite a bit in price and end up being pretty affordable. They're obviously still going to be the most expensive bags just due to even the mats that you need to use your tailoring cooldowns, but they're going to be a bit cheaper, I would say, or actually quite a lot cheaper than they are currently. A minor downside to it, and please take this with a pinch of salt because I don't actually have a tailor to test this on the PTR, but when they remove the location requirement and the daily cooldown on the cloth, they also historically remove the little buffs that you'd get from making the cloth. I know they are incredibly minor, but I do also know people who log out with the buffs before raid. Come on guys, it's not 2019 anymore. Well, buffs in Wrath. How the markets are going to look in general following these changes is unknown, but I do expect things to get a little bit cheaper. ICC's coming out in Phase 4. I bet you didn't know that. Well, there are a few things that are quite relevant to raiding and at the rate that you get your Emblems of Frost, which you're going to need quite a lot of to get your tier gear, especially if you have no luck like me in Vault of Archivon. I suppose now's a good time to mention Vault of Archivon. VOA is going to have a new boss as well, as you would expect, and it's Toravon the Ice Watcher, another extremely easy puggable boss where you absolutely want to be doing class or spec runs depending on whether you're doing 10 or 25 man. You can get gloves and legs from this boss where the 10 man will drop 251 tier and the 25 will drop 264 tier, which not only saves you a crap ton of emblems, but also if you get the 264 version, it's going to save you a token which you'd ordinarily need to get from either 10 man heroic ICC or 25-man ICC. But with that aside, what was I saying about getting emblems? There's also a weekly quest that you can do in ICC. These give a satchel as a reward which will have 5 emblems in, but also a chance at an uncut epic gem or even a 264 BOE epic. You also get some rep and a bit of gold in the bag as well. There's 5 different quests in here which are deprogramming, securing the ramparts, residue rendezvous, blood quickening, and respite for a tormented soul. They range from deprogramming, where you need to keep an extra ad alive on Death Whisper, to killing an extra mini-boss for securing the ramparts, obtaining a couple of debuffs from both Rotface and Festigut, rescuing an ad from Blood Queen Lanafel, and making an already quite difficult fight being Sindragosa a little bit more difficult by having to channel some crystals into her. All of these quests are going to be comfortable on normal, but I've got to be honest with you, during progress, there's only 1 or 2 of them that you'll probably comfortably be able to do first time every time. But there are some cheesy ways of doing these, which I probably will put a video out before launch, because there's ways of doing Rotface and Festigut without even fighting the boss, for example, which we'll talk about that in another video. So probably a good idea to subscribe so you don't miss that, I reckon. Oh, and hit like. While you're down there pressing subscribe, might as well hit like. That helps out as well. Now, this is where things get interesting. Yes, you're going to get those 5 from potentially completing your ICC daily when you're raiding. But this little fella here that normally only has a daily heroic fear has got a lot more to offer. I want to point out now, I'm assuming all of these quests are going to be in on live like they are on PTR, but it does seem like there's quite a lot. Now, first of all, it's worth mentioning that currently when you use Dungeon Finder, you're getting Emblems of Triumph for doing your first random Lich King Titan Rune Protocol Gamma Dungeon, which explains why you're going to get a Gamma quest from this once a day, which gives 3 Emblems of Frost. You're going to get a Threat to Azeroth quest, which is to loot a mysterious artifact from any final dungeon boss. You're also going to get your normal daily heroic, where it's the actual boss that you need to go and kill. So in this case, it's Ingvar the Plunderer. And then there's also a weekly raid quest, which is going to reward 10 Emblems of Frost and 5 Emblems of Triumph. And where this one is Sarfarian Must Die, there's also Lord Maragar Must Die, Lord Jaraxxus, Flame Leviathan, Ignis, Razor Scowl, Anna Brecken, Malagos, Mayexna, Instructor Resuvius, XT, Noth, and Patchwork. I think that covers them all, but there's a few in Nax, a few in Ulduar, 1 in TOGC, and the first boss in ICC. So yeah, it's quite random, and it's not always the first boss. Yes, the first one in ICC is Maragar, but TOGC is actually the second boss because it's Lord Jaraxxus. Now, I think this is actually quite good because it keeps the older content alive, but I think the problem you're likely going to get is most people are just going to go in and do the boss that gives the weekly quest, like Jaraxxus, and then the group will just quickly fall apart. Now, this is quite a strange one for me, because whilst it gives 10 Emblems of Frost, and I remember it giving 10 Emblems of Frost back in the day, I'm fairly sure it actually changed before it went live to give 5 of each. I think it was 10 in an early PTR, and then it changed to 5, or If you've got a better memory than me, because I'm going purely off memory because I can't really find anything about this, it was 5 and then it was put up to 10. But I feel like it was 10 and then it was put down to 5 because it was too much. But obviously, the way we play Classic now, 10's great. We just want to get our tier as quick as possible because we know we're not going to be in ICC as long as we was back then anyway. And I'd say they're pretty much all the minor things or the side effects of other major things that are being added that I hadn't spoke about before. For a full breakdown of all the major things coming to this phase, like Gamma Dungeons, in-game Quest Helper, ICC, the 5-man heroics, and everything else, check out this video. There's probably a lot more in there than I've just listed, but you get the point. Be sure to subscribe, like the video before you leave, why not? Helps me out, and or maybe you like the video. If you didn't, just click like anyway. Consider joining the channel as a member, and I'll see you on the next one.